Ladies and gentlemen, what is going on, everybody? This is Joseph Conlon coming to you with your NXT review on Thursday, June 12th, 2020. This was the post NXT TakeOver in Your House pay-per-view. This is the post episode of NXT, and a lot happened on last night's episode. I want to get right to it. The first hour of NXT I was not a big fan of. We only got two matches. Well, basically one. Rather was a squash match. The one match I thought was decent. It was decent up until the ending, which I thought was brilliant. And then we got Finn Balor versus Cameron Grimes starting the second hour of NXT. And that's when things picked up. That match was awesome. And then right when that started, everything just turned into full circle and everything got so good. It turned into what I thought was a great episode of NXT with new feuds and new storylines and going forward for the black and gold brand. But before we talk about this episode of NXT, make sure you guys go check out my Monday Night Raw review from Monday and last night's AEW Dynamite review when I talked about Cody and Mark Quinn for the TNT Championship, FTR's debut against the Butcher and the Blade, and so much more on last night's AEW Dynamite review. So if you haven't already, check that out. And you're going to make sure you want to stay to the end of the video because I have a major announcement for next week's NXT review right here on the Big Fight Field channel. So without further ado, let's talk about NXT, which I thought opened up very weak with the Undisputed Era. Adam Cole was like Velveteen Dream. It's one of the best that NXT has to offer. And the Velveteen Dream is not undisputed, and that's why I put him down at NXT TakeOver in Your House. And Velveteen Dream is now in the past, and he said, what is next for Adam Cole? Adam Cole said it doesn't matter what is next for Adam Cole because no matter who he faces, he's going to put down. He then talks about his match with Dexter Lumis in the main event, and he said what he did to Bobby Fish and Roderick Strong at In Your House was absolutely frightening, and he's going to put down Dexter Lumis tonight. And I think Dexter Lumis might have traumatized Roderick Strong because Roderick Strong is afraid of Dexter Lumis. So I thought this was a very weak opening to NXT. It was just basically a time killer, and it's like we already knew that Adam Cole versus Dexter Lumis was going to be our main event for the show. So I really did not find a point in this, but it's whatever. The first match we had for the night was Johnny Gargano and Candice LeRae versus Mia Yim and the NXT North America Champion, Keith Lee. One of my favorites in the world, Keith Lee. This match was decent, I thought, up till the very ending. In the ending, Keith Lee accidentally knocked off Mia Yim. He was checking to make sure Yim was okay. Johnny Gargano hit a DDT on Keith Lee, and Keith Lee squashed, I mean literally squashed, Candice LeRae. So Lee was checking on LeRae to make sure that she was okay. He picked up LeRae. Johnny Gargano rolled over Keith Lee with a small package, and Johnny Gargano pinned Keith Lee. Johnny Gargano took the sneak way out. First of all, kudos to Candice LeRae for taking that spot. She is one tough woman for getting squashed by a huge, gigantic man in Keith Lee. That must have hurt. So kudos to Candice LeRae. As for the finish, I thought the finish was brilliant. I loved it. It was Johnny Gargano playing mind games. Then he rolled up and pinned the North America champion. So more than likely, we will get another Johnny Gargano, Keith Lee, North America Championship match, which I predicted in the In Your House review. If you haven't checked that out already, make sure you go check that out as well. But Johnny Gargano pinned Keith Lee here, and we could be seeing another North America Championship match between the two, Gargano and Keith Lee, in the future. Indus Sher was in action next, and they won in about 2 minutes. I have no idea who they faced. I did not listen to the names that closely, but that's that. I heard a report a few weeks ago that Indus Sher was set to take the NXT Tag Team titles off of the Broserweights, but with Pete Dunne being stuck in UK because of the pandemic going on, they had to strip him of the NXT Tag Team Championship. They put Thatcher with Matt Riddle, and then they opted to have Imperium take the tag team titles off of Matt Riddle and Tim Thatcher, and have Matt Riddle called up to SmackDown. So that was that. Indus Sher, the two huge, gigantic Indian men. I'm willing to give them a chance. They're new in NXT, so we should see what happens with them. I'm willing to give Indus Sher a chance, and they're probably going to be the next NXT Tag Team Champions if I had to make a prediction. So that's my thoughts on Indus Sher. Speaking of the NXT Tag Team Champions, we got a video package from our number one contenders, Breezango, who talked about when they were in NXT together, and Breeze was putting on classics with Kevin Owens, Finn Balor, Jushin Liger, and then both of them went up to Raw and SmackDown, and Fandango debuted at WrestleMania 29 and won his first match. Of course, he won against Chris Jericho, so WWE isn't going to mention Chris Jericho because, they're petty, so they're not going to mention Chris Jericho because AEW. But they talked about their rough time up on the main roster together as a tag team on SmackDown. They failed to capture the tag team titles. I saw a picture of them losing to the Usos at Backlash in 2017. Don't remind me of that show, please. But Breezango getting an NXT Tag Team Championship match next week against Imperium. That should be great. I can't wait to see that match. I actually expect Indus Sher to get involved and maybe set up a triple threat for the tag team titles at the next takeover. We then got an interview from Rhea Ripley, and she said at takeover, Io Shirai saw an opportunity and she connected. So good job on Io Shirai becoming the new NXT Women's Champion. Robert Stone walks up. He looks all messy. His hair's a mess. She then says, me and you can be the 1-2 punch. I will be your manager and I will lead you back up to the top where you were at the end of last year. So Rhea Ripley walks away. Robert Stone follows her, and Rhea Ripley kicks Robert Stone in the nuts and powerbombs him through a trash can. So that's that. I don't know where they're going with this Robert Stone storyline. I don't know who his client is going to be, but it's whatever. And then this is where things started to pick up on NXT, in my opinion. This is when the show became great. We saw Finn Balor versus Cameron Grimes. This was awesome. This was an awesome match on NXT. And I did take notes for this match, so let's get to it. The match starts with Grimes backing away from Balor, like the heel that he is. Grimes hits a chop to Balor, and then Finn gives him a forearm. Balor gives a punk kick to the back of Grimes for a 2 count, immediately to a headlock. Both guys give each other a set of knife-edge chops. Grimes catches Balor's punt kick, slams him to the mat, and gives him a knee. Grimes hits a sunset flip. Balor rolls through and gives Grimes a drop kick. On the outside, Balor throws Grimes into the guardrail, and we go to commercial. Grimes then explodes off the ropes for a clothesline. Grimes gives Balor an Irish whip to the turnbuckle in a very aggressive manner. Grimes does some trash talking to Finn Balor, which Grimes is very good at that. He then gets drop kicked by Balor into a double foot stomp from Finn Balor. Balor hits Sling Blade into a shotgun drop kick. Balor then misses a coup de grace, and Grimes rolls over. It rolls him up for a close near fall. Grimes reverses 1916 into a small package for a kick out. Grimes hits a side press to Balor for another kick out by Balor. Balor hits a reverse 1916 with Grimes kicking out. Balor hits a coup de grace into a brutal 1916 for the win over Cameron Grimes. After the match, Balor gets into the face of the cameraman. He said, "I've been NXT champion in NXT before, never NXT North American champion. When you're done playing house, Keith Lee, call me up." Or something like that. Hit me up. So, we could be seeing Finn Balor versus Keith Lee for the North American Championship. Take my money. Take my money. If Johnny Gargano and Keith Lee did not put on a 5-star classic that you expected them to at NXT TakeOver in your house, Finn Balor and Keith Lee might just get the job done. Finn Balor was very cold in the pandemic era of NXT right now, and then it feels like once he beat Damian Priest in a great match, and then he had this awesome match with Cameron Grimes, Finn Balor feels like Finn Balor. Finn Balor feels important, and now Finn Balor is going after the NXT North American Championship, which I love. So that was that. Great stuff from Grimes. Great stuff from Balor. This was probably my favorite thing on NXT. That match was awesome. Probably, believe it or not, probably my favorite match out of AEW and NXT this week. Favorite match goes to Finn Balor and Cameron Grimes. Casey Catanzaro versus Dakota Kai with Raquel Gonzalez, and these two women only got 5 minutes, but it was a very good 5 minutes with Dakota Kai getting some offense in the beginning. Casey Catanzaro fighting back like the underdog that she is, and Kai gives her a GTK or something, a kick to the face, and Dakota Kai pins Casey Catanzaro. After the match, her and Raquel beat up Casey Catanzaro. Kaden Carter comes down, and she gets put down by Raquel Gonzalez, and Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez stand tall at the end. If this gets Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez away from Tegan Nox, that's a positive, because those three ladies have been feuding for way too long now, and they should have been done after that steel cage match in March, like I said. But as for Kai, she signaled this to the camera, and she said, "I'm coming for that NXT Women's Championship." So that's a nice little interim feud for Io Shirai before she gets into another feud, hopefully against Rhea Ripley, not Charlotte Flair, please. hopefully against Rhea Ripley. But as for now, it looks like we could be seeing an interim feud between Dakota Kai and Io Shirai for the NXT Women's Championship. I don't have a problem with it. Will it happen at TakeOver? Probably not. It'll probably be an NXT thing. So that's my thoughts on that. It should be pretty good. And Io will probably retain the Women's Championship over Dakota Kai whenever that happens. We then saw El Hijo del Fantasma come out, the new NXT Cruiserweight Champion, and he was immediately interrupted by Drake Maverick, who got new theme music, and Maverick said he just wanted to congratulate Fantasma for becoming the new Cruiserweight Champion, and he said he is one of the best, he's the best Cruiserweight that they have. He came in, debuted in the tournament, went to the finals, and won the championship. Drake Maverick said that he saw that everybody was talking about his story, but really, people should have been talking about Fantasma's story, becoming the new Cruiserweight Champion. And then Maverick said, now that I'm back under a full NXT contract, I would like to have another match with you for the NXT Cruiserweight Championship. Fantasma then goes to shake Maverick's hand, and Maverick shakes his hand, and the two masked men come out, and Maverick and Fantasma want to fight them. The two masked men then go on each side. You got Fantasma looking this way, Maverick looking this way. Then Fantasma turns around, looks at Drake Maverick. Maverick turns around, and the 3-on-1 beatdown begins. Fantasma is standing on Drake Maverick's head. The two masked men take their masks off. It is revealed as Raul Mendoza and Joaquin Wilde, who were both kidnapped. They both give Maverick a frog splash at the same time, which looked great. Fantasma then takes his mask off and says, I am Santos Escobar. I am your NXT Cruiserweight Champion, and I am unstoppable. So we got a brand new stable between Raul Mendoza, Joaquin Wilde, and Santos Escobar, the Cruiserweight Champion. This was great. I loved this. I really loved this. Fantasma, Santos Escobar, whatever you want to call him, Santos Escobar was not getting over under that mask as El Hijo del Fantasma, and they knew they were going to do something with the two masked men. They weren't just going to be masked forever. So they revealed themselves tonight as Joaquin Wilde and Raul Mendoza, and I love that it gives both Mendoza and Wilde to do something, because both guys are incredibly talented and they deserve to get some TV time on NXT. And once Fantasma took his mask off and revealed himself as Santos Escobar, I don't know if you guys agree with me about this, but when I think of Santos Escobar, I think of Andrade. He looked exactly like Andrade did in NXT. It felt like the same thing. Like they both weren't getting over under the gimmicks. Andrade was wearing a Mexican hat, and he was a ladies' man, and he was not getting over, and he would keep losing. And then Zelina Vega pulled him aside, and everything changed. And later that year, Andrade became the NXT champion. And the same thing, feel like the same thing with Phantasma. Phantasma was not getting over under the mask, so he had to take the mask off, reveal his new stable with Mendoza and Joaquin Wilde, and is now Santos Escobar. This is awesome. These three will probably be having a feud with Drake Maverick over the NXT Cruiserweight Championship, and Maverick will probably prevail and end up being the Cruiserweight Champion sooner rather than later. But I love this. He needed to turn heel. He was not getting over as a babyface, and I love that they're doing something with Manuel Mendoza and Joaquin Wilde. So leave it in the comments below. I want to know what you think about this segment. And then it was announced next week for NXT, we'd be getting NXT Tag Team Championship match between Breezango and Imperium, and then a Women's Tag Team Championship match with Shotzi Blackheart and Tegan Nox versus the winner of the triple threat at Backlash between the Iconics, Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross, Sasha Banks and Bayley. And I don't know, man. Probably not, but I wonder if WWE or the WWE NXT page saw my tweet on SmackDown when Sasha Banks and Bayley won the Women's Tag Team Champions. And it also came to an idea of a good friend from Twitter, Nick Fiore. So if you're watching this, shout out to you, bro. He came up with the idea of Sasha Banks and Bayley versus Shotzi Blackheart and Tegan Nox. And it could come true next week on NXT. And that match should be great. So a very tag team heavy show on NXT. Same with AEW. We got two very tag team heavy shows next week. I can't wait. Adam Cole versus Dexter Lumis. Non-title. The trainees, the Performance Center trainees who were acting as fans, started chanting Dexter Lumis. I don't know why. Dexter Lumis is coming off as a babyface. I don't like that whatsoever. Both guys start the match with a collar and elbow. Lumis then hits Cole with a series of forearms. Lumis gives Cole a back elbow, and Cole rolls out of the ring. Lumis launches Cole to the other side of the ring, very far and very high in the air. Lumis then does his slither out of the ring and gives Cole an uppercut. Cole kicks Lumis to the outside, and back from break, Cole gives Lumis a backstabber for a 2 count. Cole calls Dexter Lumis a weirdo, while Dexter Lumis looks at him with a sick smile. Cole then hits a neck breaker to Dexter Lumis. Lumis is then pointing at his chin to tell Cole, punch me, with a sick smile on his face. Lumis then hits a clothesline into a bulldog for a kick out. Lumis then hits a German suplex for a 2 count. Cole hits a super kick to Lumis for a close near fall. Cole misses the last shots, gets spine buster by Lumis. Lumis hits another spine buster to Cole for a very close near fall once again. Lumis catches Cole into his submission hold. Bobby Fish is distracting the referee. Roderick Strong hits an enziguri to Cole. Cole hits last shot, and Cole defeats Dexter Lumis. After the match, Cole is holding up his NXT Championship at Dexter Lumis. Dexter Lumis then puts Cole in his submission hold. Fish and Roderick Strong break it up. The Velveteen Dream comes out. He attacks Bobby Fish. Dexter Lumis is going at it with Roderick Strong. Roderick Strong runs away because he is possessed by Dexter Lumis. And then Adam Cole is left in the ring by himself. The lights go out, and out comes Scarlett. Scarlett walks to the ring as the trainees start chanting, fall and pray, fall and pray, fall, and pray. So Scarlett walks out to the ring. She gets to the ring. She has her hands behind her back. Adam Cole's acting very afraid. And Scarlett puts out a timer, like an old-time timer where you got the white dust coming down, and the trainees start chanting, tick, tock, tick, tock, tick, tock, which came off very uncool whatsoever. It did not come off cool whatsoever. That I felt like that was not necessary. They could have just chanted fall and pray, fall and pray. I like that much better. But this tells you that Triple H is strapping that rocket behind Karrion Kross, man. He is very much strapping the rocket behind Karrion Kross. And I thought Karrion Kross would be the NXT champion at the end of the year. Not this early. This is I did not expect it this early. I actually expected Finn Balor to challenge for the NXT Championship, but it looks like he's going for the North American Championship. And now we could already be seeing Kross dethrone Adam Cole for the NXT Championship. Cole's time as NXT Champion seems to be coming to an end thanks to Mr. Karrion Kross. And that's your NXT review. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you haven't already, subscribe right here on the Big Fight Field channel, as we got Backlash predictions tomorrow right here on the channel. That's going to be a fun video, so make sure you guys check that out. The Backyard Brawl match with Eddie Mullins on Saturday. We're just 2 days away from that. Make sure you guys definitely check that match out. You're going to love it. And then Backlash review on Sunday night. And I actually got to make an announcement now for next week's NXT review. I talked about it on Monday that I was going to start giving people opportunity who don't have platforms like a YouTube channel or a podcast. And next week on the NXT review, we're going to have our first guest on the Big Fight Field channel. My boy, Indigo Uchiha, as of now, will be joining me next Thursday as we talk about NXT, Breezango vs. Imperium for the tag team titles, and the women's tag team title match with Shotzi and Tegan versus Bayley and his girl Sasha Banks. So, as of now, Indigo Uchiha will be joining me next Thursday on the NXT review right here on the Big Fight Field channel. And then that's that. Comment down below what you thought of this week's episode of NXT. Like I said, I thought it was a great episode of NXT. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this week's episode of NXT and the review. And follow me on Twitter at Karrion_Joseph and Instagram as well. Follow Eddie on Twitter at EddieMullins515. And I will see you guys tomorrow right here on the Big Fight Field channel for your Backlash predictions. We're going to have a field day with this Backlash predictions, believe me. Have a good night.